I'm Robert, 30M, and I need to share what just happened with my family. My father, 58M, has disowned me because my sister Sarah, 28F, convinced him to do it. She's always hated me, and now she's finally succeeded in turning our dad against me completely. I grew up in a middle-class family in a suburban neighborhood. My parents, John, 58M, and Linda, 56F, both worked hard to provide for us. Dad was an accountant at a local firm, and Mom was a high school English teacher. They always emphasized the importance of education and hard work. I'm the oldest of 3 siblings. There's me, my brother Mike, 26M, and Sarah. From a young age, it was clear that Sarah was the favorite child. She was born when I was 2 and Mike was on the way. Mom often told the story of how Sarah was a miracle baby because they had trouble conceiving her. As we grew up, the favoritism became more obvious. Sarah got the best of everything: clothes, toys, attention. When I was 10, I desperately wanted a new bike for my birthday. My parents said it was too expensive. But just a few months later, they bought Sarah a brand new bike just because. This pattern continued throughout our childhood. In school, I was always a good student. I worked hard and got mostly A's and B's. Mike was similar, though he struggled a bit more with academics. Sarah, on the other hand, was average at best. But our parents, especially Dad, always made excuses for her. If she got a C, it was because the teacher didn't explain it well enough. If she got in trouble for talking in class, it was because she's just so social and friendly. When I was 16, I got my first part-time job at a local grocery store. I wanted to save up for a car. Mike did the same when he turned 16. We both bought used cars with our own money. Sarah, however, was gifted a brand new car for her 16th birthday. Dad said it was because she needed something safe and reliable. Despite the clear favoritism, I tried not to let it bother me too much. I focused on my studies and my goals. I got into a good college and majored in computer science. After graduation, I landed a job at a tech startup. It was challenging work, but I loved it. During my college years, Sarah's behavior started to become more problematic. She partied a lot and her grades suffered. She changed majors 3 times before dropping out altogether in her junior year. Our parents were disappointed, but they quickly shifted to making excuses for her. College isn't for everyone, they'd say. Sarah just needs to find her passion. After dropping out, Sarah moved back home. She took a part-time job at a clothing store at the mall, but most of her paycheck went to buying new clothes and going out with friends. Our parents didn't charge her rent and continued to pay for her car, insurance, and phone. Meanwhile, I was working 60-hour weeks at my startup job, trying to climb the corporate ladder. I met my wife, Emma, 29F, at a tech conference. We hit it off immediately and got married 2 years later. Emma is a graphic designer and we complement each other well. The tension between Sarah and me really ramped up about a year ago. I had just gotten a big promotion at work, and my parents threw a family dinner to celebrate. Sarah showed up late, already tipsy from drinking with friends beforehand. Throughout dinner, she kept making snide comments about how I thought I was so much better than everyone else because of my job. I tried to ignore her comments, but she wouldn't let up. She started bringing up embarrassing stories from our childhood, clearly trying to make me look bad. Finally, I snapped and told her that maybe if she actually applied herself instead of mooching off our parents, she could be successful too. She burst into tears and ran out of the room. Dad was furious with me for upsetting her. He said I should apologize, but I refused. I was tired of always having to coddle Sarah's feelings while she treated me like crap. Mom tried to play peacemaker, but it was clear she was siding with Sarah too. After that dinner, things got even worse. Sarah started telling our parents that I was bullying her whenever we were around each other. She'd twist my words and actions to make me look bad. If I didn't respond to her text messages right away, she'd tell our parents I was ignoring her. If I disagreed with her opinion on something, she'd say I was belittling her. I could tell my dad was starting to believe her lies. He'd call me up to lecture me about being nicer to my sister. When I tried to explain my side, he'd accuse me of making excuses. Mom would just sigh and say she wished we could all get along. The final straw came last week. Sarah told our dad that she'd overheard me telling Mike that I thought our parents were idiots for continuing to support Sarah financially. This was a complete lie. I never said anything like that. Mike and I had talked about our frustration with the situation, but we'd never insulted our parents. But Sarah must have been pretty convincing, because my dad called me up in a rage. He yelled at me for a good 20 minutes, saying he was sick of me looking down on the family and treating Sarah badly. He accused me of being jealous of Sarah and trying to turn everyone against her. He said I was ungrateful for everything they'd done for me. I tried to defend myself, but he wouldn't listen. He just kept yelling about how I'd betrayed the family. Finally, he said the words I never thought I'd hear: "You're no longer my son. Don't bother coming around anymore. You're dead to me." I was in shock. I couldn't believe my father would disown me over Sarah's lies. I tried calling my mom to talk some sense into him, but she just cried and said there was nothing she could do. She said Dad was set in his decision and that maybe if I apologized to Sarah, things would blow over. But I refused to apologize for something I didn't do. I called Mike to see if he would back me up, but he was hesitant. He said he believed me, but he was afraid to speak up against Sarah and risk getting disowned too. He has a wife and a baby on the way, so I understand his reluctance to rock the boat. It's been a few days now, and I'm still reeling. Emma is furious on my behalf and wants me to cut ties with the whole family. She says they've never appreciated me and that we're better off without their drama. Part of me agrees with her, but it's hard to think about never speaking to my parents again. I've tried reaching out to a few extended family members to explain the situation, but most of them seem to be taking Sarah's side. My Aunt Carol, Dad's sister, even called to tell me how disappointed she was in my behavior. It seems Sarah has been spreading her lies to the whole family. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to fight back and prove Sarah is lying. I could show them my phone records to prove I never had the conversation she claims to have overheard. I could point out all the times in the past where she's manipulated situations to her advantage. But another part of me just wants to walk away from all the drama. I'm tired of feeling like I have to constantly prove my worth to my own family. Emma and I are trying to start our own family. She's actually 12 weeks pregnant, though we haven't told anyone yet because of all this drama. Maybe it would be better to focus on our future and let go of the past. I've thought about writing a letter to my parents explaining everything, but I'm not sure if they'd even read it. I've considered confronting Sarah directly, but I'm afraid she'd just twist my words and use them against me again. The whole situation is affecting my work and my relationship with Emma. I'm having trouble concentrating at my job, and I find myself getting irritable with Emma over small things. She's been incredibly supportive, but I know it's wearing on her too. I've thought about suggesting family therapy, but I doubt Sarah or my dad would agree to it. They both seem to think I'm the only problem. And to be honest, I'm not sure I want to sit in a room and hash this out with them. The thought of it just makes me feel exhausted. Has anyone else dealt with toxic family dynamics like this? How did you handle it? Did you try to clear your name or did you just walk away? I could really use some advice on how to move forward from here. I never thought I'd be in a position where I was cut off from my family, and I'm struggling to come to terms with it. Update 1: It's been about 2 weeks since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone for the supportive comments and messages. It really helped to know I wasn't alone in dealing with difficult family situations. After taking some time to process everything and reading through all the advice, I decided to try one last time to talk to my dad. I figured I owed it to myself to at least attempt to clear the air before potentially cutting ties for good. I sent him a text asking if we could meet up in person to talk things through calmly. To my surprise, he agreed. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop near his work during his lunch break. I was nervous all morning, trying to plan out what I would say. Emma gave me a pep talk before I left, reminding me to stay calm and stick to the facts. When I arrived at the coffee shop, Dad was already there. He looked tired and older than I remembered. At first, things were tense and awkward. We made small talk about the weather and his work for a few minutes before I finally brought up the reason for our meeting. I calmly explained my side of things. I told him how hurt I was that he would believe Sarah's lies without even asking for my perspective. I pointed out all the times in the past where Sarah had twisted the truth to make herself look better. I even showed him my phone records to prove I hadn't had the conversation Sarah claimed to overhear. To my shock, my dad actually started to tear up. He admitted that deep down, he knew Sarah could be manipulative sometimes. But he said he always felt like he had to protect her because she was more fragile than Mike and me. He talked about how Sarah had struggled with anxiety and depression in high school, which was news to me, and how he and Mom always worried about her self-esteem. We ended up talking for over 2 hours. Dad opened up about a lot of things I never knew. He talked about the pressure he felt to provide for the family and how he often worked overtime when we were kids to make ends meet. He admitted that he probably overcompensated with Sarah because he felt guilty about working so much when she was young. By the end of our conversation, Dad apologized for disowning me so hastily. He said he'd been stressed about work and other issues, and he'd taken it out on me unfairly. He promised to talk to Sarah and get to the bottom of her lies. He even suggested that we all sit down as a family to hash things out. I left feeling cautiously optimistic. It seemed like maybe we could start to repair our relationship. Dad hugged me before we parted ways, something he hadn't done in years. I called Emma on the way home to tell her how it went, and she was happy for me but warned me not to get my hopes up too high. That optimism was short-lived, though. The very next day, I got a call from Mike. He was upset and told me that Sarah had found out about my meeting with Dad. Apparently, Dad had mentioned it to Mom, who then told Sarah, thinking it might encourage her to reconcile with me too. But Sarah didn't take it well at all. According to Mike, she had a complete meltdown at the house. She screamed at our parents for hours, accusing them of always loving me more, even though she was the one who needed them. She brought up every perceived slight from our childhood, twisting events to make herself the victim in every situation. Mike said Sarah threatened to move out and never speak to them again if they didn't cut me off completely. She said I was manipulating them and trying to turn them against her. She even threatened to hurt herself if they kept in contact with me. Our parents, of course, caved to her demands. My mom called me in tears, saying they had no choice but to side with Sarah. She said Sarah was in a fragile state and they were afraid of what she might do if they didn't support her. She begged me to understand and to give Sarah space. I was beyond frustrated. Just when I thought we were making progress, Sarah managed to manipulate the situation again. I told my mom I was done trying. If they wanted to enable Sarah's behavior, that was their choice. But I wouldn't stick around to be her punching bag anymore. The next few days were chaotic. Sarah started posting on social media about how I was an abusive brother who was trying to turn the family against her. She shared childhood photos with long captions about how I'd always bullied her and made her feel worthless. Some extended family members and old friends started messaging me, asking what was going on. I was tempted to fight back and tell my side of the story publicly. I wanted to expose Sarah's lies and manipulations. But Emma convinced me it wasn't worth it. She said engaging would only give Sarah more ammunition and drag out the drama. She reminded me that the people who really mattered would see through Sarah's lies. Instead, I decided to focus on the people who really mattered. I reached out to Mike and told him I understood if he needed to keep his distance to avoid drama with our parents. But I made it clear that I'd always be there for him if he needed me. He was grateful and promised to keep me updated on what was happening with the family. I also called my grandmother, my dad's mom, to explain the situation. She's always been a voice of reason in the family. To my relief, she believed me about Sarah's lies. She shared some stories about how Sarah had caused drama in the family before, even when she was young. She promised to talk to my dad and try to make him see reason. For now, I'm taking a step back from the whole situation. I've blocked Sarah on all social media and told my parents I need space. It hurts to be estranged from them, but I realize I can't keep subjecting myself to this toxic dynamic. Emma and I are focusing on preparing for our baby's arrival. We've started setting up the nursery and looking into childbirth classes. We've decided that unless things change dramatically with my family, we won't be involving them in our child's life. It's a hard decision, but we feel it's necessary for our own peace of mind and for the well-being of our child. I've also started seeing a therapist to work through my feelings about all of this. It's helping me process the anger and hurt, and giving me tools to set healthier boundaries. Emma and I are also doing some couples counseling to make sure we're on the same page about everything and to strengthen our relationship as we prepare to become parents. At work, I've had to have a difficult conversation with my boss about what's going on. The stress was affecting my performance, and I wanted to be upfront about it. Thankfully, he was understanding and has allowed me to adjust my workload a bit while I deal with everything. I'm trying to stay positive and focus on the good things in my life. Emma and I have been spending more time with her family, who have been incredibly supportive through all of this. We've also been reconnecting with old friends and building a strong support network outside of my biological family. It's not easy, and there are days when I still feel angry and hurt about everything that's happened. But I'm trying to take it one day at a time and remember that I can't control anyone's actions but my own. I'll update again if anything significant changes. Thanks again to everyone for the support and advice. It's made a real difference in helping me navigate this difficult situation. Update 2: It's been about 3 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some surprising developments. First, some good news. Emma and I welcomed our baby boy, Jack, into the world last month. He's healthy and perfect, and being a dad is the most amazing experience of my life. The first few weeks have been a whirlwind of sleepless nights and diaper changes, but we're slowly finding our rhythm. Now, on to the family drama. About a month ago, I got an unexpected call from my brother Mike. He was upset and said he needed to talk to me urgently. We met up at a park near his house, and he dropped a bombshell on me. Apparently, Mike had been doing some digging into Sarah's past behavior. He'd always had suspicions that she was hiding something, but he could never prove it. Well, he finally found some concrete evidence of her lies and manipulations. Mike discovered that Sarah had been stealing money from our parents for years. She'd been taking blank checks from our dad's checkbook and forging his signature to withdraw cash. She'd also opened several credit cards in our mom's name and maxed them out. But it gets worse. Mike found out that Sarah had been using the money to fund a secret drug habit. He showed me text messages he'd found on her old phone, which she'd left at our parents' house, arranging drug deals and talking about how much she owed her dealer. I was shocked. I knew Sarah was irresponsible with money, but I never thought she'd stoop to outright theft and drug use. Mike showed me copies of bank statements and credit card bills as proof. The amount she'd stolen over the years was staggering, easily over $100,000. Mike was torn about what to do with this information. On one hand, he wanted to expose Sarah's crimes and finally prove to our parents that she'd been lying and manipulating them. On the other hand, he was worried about how they would react and if it would tear the family apart even more. We spent hours discussing what to do. We both felt our parents deserved to know the truth, but we were concerned about how it would affect them emotionally and financially. We also worried about Sarah's reaction and if she might do something drastic if confronted. After a lot of back and forth, we decided that our parents needed to know. We agreed to confront Sarah together and give her a chance to come clean before we told our parents ourselves. We invited Sarah to meet us at a restaurant, saying we wanted to try to work things out as siblings. When she showed up, she seemed nervous but put on a fake smile. We sat down and ordered drinks, making small talk for a few minutes. Then, Mike pulled out the folder of evidence and laid it on the table. Sarah's face went pale. We calmly explained what we'd discovered and asked her to explain herself. To our surprise, Sarah broke down immediately. She admitted to everything, the stealing, the drug use, all of it. She said it had started small, just taking a little money here and there to buy weed. But it escalated quickly as she got into harder drugs. She swore she'd meant to pay it all back before anyone found out. She said she'd been trying to get clean but kept relapsing. She begged us not to tell our parents, saying it would destroy them. We told Sarah she had two choices: either she could tell our parents herself and agree to get help, or we would go to them with the evidence. She pleaded with us to give her more time, but we stood firm. In the end, Sarah agreed to come clean to our parents. Mike and I went with her for support and to make sure she told the whole truth. The conversation with our parents was one of the hardest things I've ever been through. Mom couldn't stop crying. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years in an instant. They were hurt, angry, and completely blindsided. Sarah promised to get help for her addiction issues and to pay back every cent she stole. Our parents said they would support her getting treatment, but that she couldn't live at home anymore. They also decided to press charges for the identity theft and fraud, hoping it would force Sarah to take her recovery seriously. As for me, my dad pulled me aside after everything came out and apologized profusely for not believing me before. He admitted that he'd enabled Sarah's behavior for far too long and that he should have seen the signs. He asked if we could try to rebuild our relationship, and I agreed to give it a shot. It's been a difficult few weeks as everyone processes this revelation. Sarah is in a 90-day inpatient rehab program now. My parents are in therapy to deal with their emotions and learn how to set better boundaries. They're also working with a financial advisor to figure out how to recover from the financial damage Sarah caused. Mike and I are doing our best to support our parents while also maintaining some distance for our own mental health. It's a delicate balance, but we're managing. We've been taking turns checking in on them and helping with practical things like grocery shopping and yard work. I'm still processing my own feelings about everything. Part of me is relieved that the truth finally came out and that I've been vindicated. But another part is sad that it took something so extreme for my family to see Sarah's true colors. I'm angry about all the years of manipulation and the stress it caused me and Emma. Speaking of Emma, she's been incredibly supportive through all of this. She's encouraged me to take things slow with my family and not rush into forgiveness just because the truth came out. She's also been amazing with Jack, taking on extra baby duties when I've had to deal with family stuff. For now, I'm focusing on my wife and son. My parents have expressed interest in meeting their grandson, but I'm taking things slowly. We've agreed to a short visit next month, with clear boundaries in place. Trust takes time to rebuild, and my priority is protecting my own little family. I'll update again if there are any major developments. Thanks again to everyone who's followed along with this crazy situation. Update 3: It's been about 6 months since this whole saga began, and I wanted to give one final update on where things stand now. Sarah completed her 90-day rehab program and is now living in a halfway house. She's attending regular therapy and Narcotics Anonymous meetings. From what Mike tells me, she seems to be taking her recovery seriously. She's got a part-time job at a local diner and is slowly starting to pay back some of the money she stole. I haven't had any direct contact with Sarah yet. She sent a few messages through Mike apologizing and asking to meet, but I'm not ready for that. Maybe someday, but for now, I need to focus on my own healing and my family. My parents are still dealing with the financial fallout of Sarah's actions. They've had to refinance their house and dip into their retirement savings to cover the debts. It's been hard on them, but they're working through it. They've also had to explain the situation to some extended family members, which has been humiliating for them. As for my relationship with them, things are slowly improving. We've had several long, honest conversations about the past and how we can build a healthier family dynamic going forward. They've apologized multiple times for how they treated me and for enabling Sarah's behavior for so long. They've met Jack a few times now. The first visit was awkward, but seeing them with him has helped ease some of the tension between us. They're trying hard to be better grandparents than they were parents. Mom has been knitting baby clothes and Dad even built a rocking chair for the nursery. Mike and I have grown closer through all of this. We talk almost daily now and have become each other's main support system within the family. It's nice to finally have the kind of brotherly relationship I always wanted. He and his wife are expecting their second child now, and we're looking forward to our kids growing up together. Emma has been my rock through all of this. She's encouraged me to set boundaries with my family while also giving them a chance to make amends. I don't know how I would have gotten through this without her. We're settling into parenthood and despite the lack of sleep, we're happier than ever. Work has been going well. I got another promotion last month, partly because of how I handled myself professionally during all the personal stress. We're looking at buying a house now, something that seemed impossible when all this started. Looking back, I never could have predicted how things would unfold when I made that first post 6 months ago. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, but I feel like I've come out stronger on the other side. I've learned a lot about standing up for myself, the importance of honesty, and how to break toxic family patterns. While I wish things hadn't gotten so extreme, I'm grateful for the growth and clarity this experience has brought me. To anyone else dealing with difficult family dynamics, my advice would be to trust your gut, set firm boundaries, and surround yourself with people who truly support you. It's not easy, but it's worth it for your own peace of mind. Thank you all again for the support and advice throughout this journey. I won't be updating again unless something major changes, but know that your kind words and insights have made a real difference in my life.